In the last episode, we ended with my characters hitting level 30. At level 30, all the classes get access to new equipment sets. For mercenaries, this is the Comet set. A set that is really popular, because it remains the best DPS set for both blades and knights all the way until level 105. For this reason, it is one of the few first job sets that's actually valuable. So I'm going around town to get an idea of what each part would cost. I found that the helmet and boots cost around 500k each. The gauntlets around 5 million and the suit around 12 million. This is simply too much for now, so I continue without buying anything. I continue my journey by starting the last step of the Rhiannon questline that's currently available. The mayor asks me to kill a group of hobos, who apparently are escaped convicts from the St. Morning prison. But St. Morning does not have a prison, so that's something to think about. Hobos are pretty unique in that they have 3 different spawns that aren't really connected to each other. One is in the fantasy desert, one is beneath the Plateau of Silence, and one is in the Hillop Mountains. I'm going to that last one, since it's nearby and my characters still use the slowest boards. I get the sword in just a few kills and teleport back. This is the last Rhiannon quest until level 40, so I make my way to Flares and continue with the Red Bank quests. This quest doesn't just reward experience, but also a very strong level 30 weapon and 350k penya for both of my characters. On my way there I also pick up the next Mars Mine quest. I hunt a few red banks and the 5 feather queues and teleport back. The questline then basically comes down to moving back and forth between Flares and the Red Bank spawn. These red banks are some of the only monsters in the game that don't deal less damage to you as you outlevel them. This means that they can kill characters that are way above their level. This trait is usually only reserved for super bosses. After doing a few more quest steps, I get the anti-nail weapons. These have an attack power of around 130. This is double the amount that most normal weapons in this level range have. I then complete the last available step at this level and cash in 700k penya. I also turn in the Gigglebox quest items. The next bosses I intend to tackle are Cirrus Uriel and the Kur. Both are level 35, so I will grind some experience without quests now. I'm going to test out what the highest level monster is that I can kill in one moonbeam and level at those. I'm also going to pick up the Meteor quest items while I'm at it, as I have to be in the southern part of St. Morning anyway. On my way to the meteorite, I get really lucky and spot a violet mantis. The violets are an excellent way to make money, but because they're good money, they're constantly scoured and hunted everywhere. I saw a couple before, but I wasn't ready to fight them back then. This time it goes really smoothly and I defeat it without much trouble. It drops 5 low S protects, which I should be able to sell for more than 500k each. I pick up the Meteoral, and then I move to Captain Totemia, which turned out to be the highest monster that I could kill with one Moonbeam cast. I pop a refresher hold so I don't need to think about my MP, and then start a grind to level 35. Before fighting Uriel and Kerr, I want to upgrade my gear a little bit. I begin by putting up my lowest protect for sale for 550k each, and I very quickly sell them. Now I have more than 4 million across both my characters. I spot a Comet helmet and boots for 350k each, and I buy those. Just the 2 parts are already a good upgrade. I now have more defense, and I also get more hit rate since I now have the first set effect of both the pedal and the Comet set simultaneously. This will be helpful against the Kerr, since I assume that just like Big Muscle, he will be immune to Moonbeam, meaning that Lee and Shu will have to deal most of the damage. In Saint Morning I spot an Ancient Shield for just 100k. It will still be a while before I can use it, but I know a good deal when I see one. Well, usually. I also buy a heavy shield with 300k, which I can use right now. I now want to make my common parts +4, but this means that I will have to farm materials again. I fly to the Garden of Rhisis. There's not a mine catcher in sight anywhere. There's usually enough of them, but there seem to be people stationed in every corner of the island to scout them. So I decide to leave and collect them in Darken 3 instead. There I very quickly find both minerals and arrows. After I'm done upgrading my gear, I see that Power Dice 8 are now basically free, so I decide to buy some extra and upgrade my Demos and Intelli rank to +3 as well. With the upgrading done, it's time to fight the first boss of the episode, Uriel. This boss doesn't have the highest stats, but it is surprisingly difficult in spite of that. She is surrounded by warm Fetacues, which are weaker versions of herself that don't have any special attacks, but there are a lot of them. She has 2 different special attacks herself, a big slam and a barrage of smaller area attacks. I start by killing some of the warm Fetacues, as I need to kill 3 of them for the quest, and I hope that if I kill them they won't bother me while I'm fighting the boss. I quickly learn, however, that they respawn pretty much instantly, and that they have a much larger aggro range than most monsters. I start the fight by walking through the middle of the arena, hoping that I won't aggro the warm Fetacues, but I immediately get aggro from both of them. I then dodge her area attacks, which she uses a lot. But I quickly lose control of the situation when she attacks Guizdo, and he also pulls the 3rd warm Fetacue. Healing, dodging and dealing damage to both of my characters is very difficult, and I quickly die with Guizdo. I'll run away with Lee and Shu to reset the boss and try again. On my second attempt it doesn't go much different. Guizdo gets aggro from one of the worms and he dies. I decide to see if Lee and Shu can just turtle it out with food. He gets pretty far, but eventually he dies from lag. It's time for a different approach. On attempt number 3, I first make sure to deal with the warm Fetacues. I don't want to have aggro from any of them while I engage the boss. Then I just pull the boss backwards against the wall and camp in the little corner behind her, so I don't draw aggro from any of the worms. This works surprisingly well. Lee and Shu can tank the special attacks. The big hit still deals a lot of damage to him, but the small hits barely deal any damage to him. Defense reduces the damage you take by a flat amount, so having a lot of defense is really effective against many small hits. Guizdo moonbeams, heals, and dodges accordingly, and after a while I defeat the boss without too many problems. I then prepare for the Kerr by doing the quest for it and putting earth on my weapon. Cur is an electric type, so the water I have in my suit is actually working against me here. But I'm so tanky that I decide to just leave it be. Just like with the Big Muscle, I don't really know what he does, but I do expect him to be kind of similar to Big Muscle. His stats are quite high, but since I can only fight him on easy, they will be lower in practice. Instead of Peaky Turtles, we have a bunch of Jack the Hammers this time around. But these also aren't very strong. I engage the Cur and he immediately uses pretty much all of his special attacks. A teleport followed up by a stun, a big bonk that comes with a knockback, and a poison. He uses these very liberally, and he also switches between targets constantly. He is indeed immune to Moonbeam, but with the Devil Earrings and the Antennail Sword with Earth on it, the ensues damage is up to a respectable 590 per hit. I do still miss a lot of attacks, despite wearing 2 different sets with hit rate on them, my gear being +4, Blazing Sword, and the accuracy buff from the Pang. Just like with Big Muscle, this pretty much becomes a war of attrition. I simply need to keep attacking and healing. This goes on for quite a while. After almost 15 minutes, my concentration breaks for a little while, and I die with Guisto. Because the boss berserked, he could only survive 2 hits instead of the usual 3, and I didn't notice. But Lianxu has enough food to survive for a very long time, so he's victorious. Just like the Big Muscle, he also drops a bunch of quest items and some power dice. Afterwards, I discovered that you can't use Blink Wings here. Now that I'm done with the bosses, my next goal is to hit level 40. So I return to the card puppets to continue my grind there. I buy the FWC flasks that increase experience and drop rates for an hour, and also pop another refresher hold. Only a few minutes in, I reach level 36, which means that I can go to the Tombstone Bears, but I decide to stay a little while longer and collect some more card puppet quest items. Once I have enough, I return to town and sell my drops. I continue my grind on the Garden of Rhisis, the smallest continent in the game. With just 7 levels between the highest and the lowest level monster, and no town, the garden serves as a midway station between Saint Morning and Dark. I continue to grind at the Tombstone Bears, where I stay until level 38. Then I go to Basques until level 39. and also get 75% experience towards level 40. This allows me to level up by turning in the office quest. The next boss on my list is the Lord Bang, for which I'm now the right level, but I won't fight him just yet. I noticed that it was very quiet that same morning, so I decided to try my luck and hunt some more violets. After a while of scouting, I run into the Violet Hobo, who almost certainly, definitely, is also an escaped convict threatening the town. Taking him down is not really a problem. Despite my gear falling behind a little bit in level, Lianshu is still extremely durable. Once he's down, he drops 4 Sprolos and a Demon Blessing. Afterwards I accept the Lord Bang quest and make my way over to him. Unlike the other Lord monsters, the Lord Bang is not a clone of the Giant Bang, and he is much stronger than the giants around his level. What makes him especially lethal is that he deals double damage when he's low on health. This allows him to kill most of the characters in the level range with a single hit. This is why the Lord Bang quest was one of only 2 quests in the game, but I gave the impossible rating on my quest sheet. But for this sheet, I rated the difficulty based on a normal character build and how difficult it would be to complete the quest at a level at which it can be accepted, which is 34. I'm fighting him at level 40 with an extremely tanky character. He has no elemental typing and no special attacks. As long as I can survive his auto attacks, I should be fine. I start the battle and it immediately becomes very clear that he is no match for Lianshu. With only 500 damage per hit, he won't be able to get through my 3500 HP. This playthrough has really shown how powerful investing into defense is at the lower levels. Once his health drops to berserk range, his damage increases to 1100 per hit. But it does not really matter, as I can still easily out-heal this, so he dies without posing too much of a problem. Without taking a break, I immediately hunt down the next mark, the Grand Master of the Violet Magician Troupe. This guy is kind of weird, as he is supposed to be the final boss of the Violet Magician Troupe, but there's no quest to actually fight him, and he has no drops. He is very similar to Lord Bang, his damage and HP are about the same, and he also has no element or special attacks. However, he deals triple damage when he is below 15% health instead of the Lord Bang's double damage below 10% health, making him even more capable of one-shotting characters. The start of the fight is again no problem, his attacks only deal 500 damage just like last time. Once he drops below 15% HP, this increases to 1500 damage per hit, which is actually enough to get Lianshu to low HP once. But I'm still tanky enough and pull through. That was the 8th boss on my list, and so far I've killed 6 of them in one attempt. Not a bad start. Now that the boss fights are behind me, I have 2 goals left this episode. Get to level 45 and make some money. I start by picking up the Rionan questline, which brings me to level 41. I then also kill the Lord Dumbo for the Rhisis Catacombs questline. I lost the footage, but he was much weaker than the Violet Hobo from earlier, so it wasn't all that interesting. After defeating the Lord Dumbo, I scout the area for more violets and spot a Violet Jack the Hammer. He is 6 levels lower than me, but still drops 3 Demon Blessings and 2 Sprolos. And then find a violet buckrove. Buckroves are unusually strong for the level, so the violet is too. On top of having more HP and attack, he can also berserk and heal himself. But I do manage to defeat him and loot more blessings and Sprolos. I then turn in the Lord Dumble quest and spot yet another violet buckrove right next to Saint City. I defeat him and loot more stuff. After turning in the card puppet office quest, I hit level 42. At this point I decide to max the sword mastery skill. It's a nice damage increase and I have the skill points for it. I then put up a shop to sell all the blessings and Sprolos that I found. I had 14 blessings and 6 Sprolos, which is very good as the blessings sell for more than the Sprolos do. When I come back I see that everything is sold and I now have nearly 20 million. A very nice amount to do some shopping with. With this money I can buy the rest of the Comet set, but I'm not going to. I'm going to skip it entirely and buy the Shemutra set instead. The Clockwork set is just crazy good. Because of all the elemental resistances and high defense, it makes you incredibly tanky. But it's also not bad offensively. It gives 10% attack speed and 10% hit rate, which is not much less than a 15% attack speed and 10% hit rate that the Comet set gives. The Comet set also gives 7% critical chance. This set doesn't give any critical chance, but it only really matters once you have some critical damage, which knights typically don't get until level 90. I spent 1 million on a helmet that is statted with 3 stamina and 2 dexterity. I then buy a suit for only 5 million that has 3 strength and 2 dexterity on it, and is already pierced twice. I then hit the jackpot and spot boots and gauntlets that are already plus 6 for just 8 mil each. A price that would not have been bad even if they had been clean. I only have 13 million left, so I buy the gauntlets and quickly start looking for another violet to make enough money to also purchase the boots. I use the search shop function to scout if it's still up for sale. There do seem to be characters stationed at most of the St. Morning Violet spawns this evening, so I have to look a little harder than last time. Thankfully, I run into another escaped convict threatening the city, and I loot more blessings from him. Since I'm in a rush, I put them up for sale for only 500k, and send the last million that Guizdo had over per mil. I then wait until they are sold. Once they are, I buy the boots right away. My funds are now back at only 300k, but they have a very nice Shemutra set that's already partially upgraded. I will use this set for a very long time, so it was totally worth it. Now all that's left for this episode is to get to level 45. I start by doing the Flybergen office quest. I then move to the NPC who is part of the Rionan questline, who is stationed near the Tombstone Bearers. There I spot the Violet Tombstone Bearer. It is 7 levels higher than me, so it actually poses a bigger challenge than the bosses of this episode did. But I do get it down. I can sell the drops later, so I have at least some money again. While going through the quests, I actually find a stick for Guizdo that's better than what he currently has. I still haven't found any stick with an awakening, but at least it's something. After hitting level 43, I have to grind for a little while at Pranksters to get enough experience to hit level 44 once I turn in all the quests in town. After teleporting back, I spot a Clockwork's assist suit for only 150k, and this time I'm sure I can flip it for a profit. After turning in all the quests, I hit exactly level 44. I calculated it down to the single experience point and... oh. The last level was pretty much only questing again. Once I'm done with them all, I hit level 45. I now have enough skill points to max Quickstep on Guizdo. That's it for this episode. I want to thank everyone who watches and comments on these. It has been a fun little project, and it's nice to get a positive response. I'm very happy with the progress I made in this episode, and excited to use the set I bought in the next one. See you there.